Okay, here we go. We'll call this committee of the whole meeting to order on January 27th, 2026 at 6:02 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. Is there anybody who'd like to speak under public participation this evening? Okay, there's no public participation. We will start with item number 4, Adam Mackey, 2026 tentative racing schedule. Adam?
Hi, everyone. It's hard to believe we're talking about racing with the temperature and the weather that we have out there right now. We had great weather last season. Didn't have a cancellation until our final night of the year, so we went like 13 out of 14 or 12 out of 13. So it was a great season for us. Good fields of cars, good turnout of fans. We had some really big races mixed in. I think our season opener was really big. Our Castrol Flow Night that we do in May was our biggest event of the year as far as fan count goes and competitors. We had the Summer Nationals race on a Sunday in June. We just have one Sunday again this year, and that is that Summer National race. And then we end with that 3-day show that we do, 2 days of racing, 1 day of practice leading up to that. And that's actually the one that probably brings the most people in for the most days consecutively. And that's turned out to be a pretty good season-ending event for us. And looking forward to the same thing. We open up Friday, April 3rd for our first race of the season. We have 13 nights of racing. I think that's the same amount as we had last year. We have 2 test and tunes on Saturday afternoons that lead up to the season in the month of March. Weather permitting, of course, we typically don't get those in, but hopefully we do this year. That's about all I got.
Okay, the normal questions. How many delays did you have last year? Do you have any idea how many hours you went over?
No, it was minutes. So we only get 90 minutes total for the whole year of allowances. I think one night we went to 10:33 and one night we went to 10:35. The previous year we were close to 11 a couple times, so way better last year. We moved smoothly, and that all depends on somebody getting into the catch fence and tearing down fence, or cars get stuck together, things like that. Okay. Yeah, 8:57. I think we got done at 8:57 one time, and a couple 9 o'clocks and stuff. So we ran through them quickly last year, which is a good thing. That's always our goal.
Mr. Parrott.
How many other tracks do you help oversee?
So we did have Macon Speedway, and then the company owner, Bob Sargent, sold it 3 years ago. So that opened up our Friday nights a little bit, but we do a lot of special events. So the Rockingham, North Carolina NASCAR race is a Track Enterprises event that we took on last year, and that was a huge event. We sold out the Xfinity race, 20-some thousand people there, and we have the truck race there. We do that once a year. That's on Easter weekend. And then we have the Illinois State Fair races that are held at the Mile in Springfield, the DuQuoin State Fair races that are held at the DuQuoin Mile, Christian County Fair race that we do once a year during their fair. And then multiple events. I would say this year our special event schedule that we do is like 12 different states, 24 different racetracks, and like 35 events, not counting the Lincoln Speedway stuff. So it's busy. We have Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway that we run in downtown Nashville too, similar to what we do at Lincoln, where we have 12 events or so.
Okay. Yeah. Is there anything that that the city could do to help, I don't know, as far as maybe more events or more participation from spectators or anything that we can do better?
I've been happy the last few years with, the participation from businesses in the city do a great job. Our sponsorship was up last year. With a lot of businesses in the community kind of participating. And a lot of our fans come from Springfield, Decatur, and Taylorville, but there are a lot from Lincoln that join us too. And we've got some drivers from Lincoln, Illinois that race with us now. So So there is some fan engagement from the area as well. So honestly, pretty satisfied, and I hope that continues.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Mackey? Okay. Is the council okay putting this on the regular agenda? Okay, we'll put it on the regular agenda.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay, the next item up on the agenda is item number 5, Crawford Murphy and Tilly, work order number 3, remaining contract fee, and work order number 7 amendment. Mr. Landers or Shane?
We'll go with Shane.
All right, Mr. Remmert, floor is yours, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All right, Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of the council. Since we have a diverse background of people here, some newer people to the council that maybe haven't been around, our work orders, our master services agreement, I thought it would be best to kind of level set a little bit and make sure you're brought up to speed on how we approach doing business. And we value very strongly our relationship with the city. We want to keep that going strong. So CMT has been the city engineer since 2023. There was a selection process. And with that, we have a master services agreement. And then under that, we have work orders. And really where I want to get to is make sure we're reinforcing the idea of, like, with those work orders, we have a defined scope and then we have a defined fee. So those two things they're linked at the hip. So for each project, we develop a fee estimate that's based upon the number of hours that we think it's going to take to complete the job. And so naturally, like, the more complex a project is, the more hours it's going to take. And as it gets more complex, a lot of times we have to add more engineering disciplines to that. So a good example would be the dechlorination project that's getting ready to start construction out at the wastewater plant. So that's a small project, but it's complicated because with that we have 5 different engineers involved. We had a civil engineer, treatment process engineer, a plumbing engineer, electrical engineer, and a structural engineer. So just to be clear, that's the appropriate approach to a project, because per the Illinois Professional Engineering Practice Act, when you're a licensed engineer, you must be proficient in the area that you're practicing in, your field of expertise. So, for example, like I'm a civil engineer by education and by my 23 years of experience. So it would be unethical for me to seal work that was, say an electrical design. But with CMT, we have a deep bench of different engineers that we can call in. But naturally, if we have a complex project, you get more people involved. It's just going to take more to get it done, more fee to get it done. So our master services agreement with the city is based upon an hourly rate. We charge at an hourly rate. And for the city of Lincoln, it's a discounted rate. When we complete a project on an hourly basis, we feel that that's the fairest way to treat our clients, because if we come in under budget on our hours, the client doesn't pay us for say we have a $100,000 project and we get it done in $90,000 worth of fee. We don't charge for the extra 10. We just charge for where we're at. Other clients, they charge on a lump sum basis, where it's like, hey, this is a $100,000 project. If they can get it done for 80, they just pocket the rest. So we feel, having a good working relationship with our clients, we want to bill on an hourly basis. And that's what we have here with the city. So we have our master services agreement, and then we have specific work orders under each one that has a specific scope and a specific fee. So just, again, we feel like that's the best way to have a good working relationship with our clients. From time to time, well, it happens on a lot of projects. The way the project starts and the way it ends are not the same. Things change throughout the project. Think of it as if you were remodeling your kitchen, you originally wanted, laminate countertops, you switched to granite, there's going to be a change along the way. Some changes are caused by the regulation or regulatory process. Some of them are dealing with constituents. Some of it's dealing with, anyway, there's a number of things that can cause that. It is under, this idea of like when a scope change happens, that's when we need to come back and say, hey, things have changed. We're going to need more fee to finish out the project. I was recently here before the council because we had a scope change on the pavilion project, and I'm here tonight to talk about another project. But before we get to that, just are there any questions on how we kind of have our working relationship set up as far as the hourly rates and how we kind of go about setting those up?
Alderman Parrott?
Sure, and you can answer this perhaps later. I'm not for sure, but of the city's work orders, how many would over the past, let's say, 3 to 5 years, came in under projected cost and over projected cost? And you don't have that in front of you, I know, but
Well, I think we're at 16 work orders, and this is the second time we've.
you're going to come and ask for more.
Mhm.
Okay.
But with that, though, what I want to do, and you guys notice I gave each of you a business card, and I'm not running for office here. It's like I want to make sure everybody has their ability to get a hold of me, right? You have my cell number on there. You have my email number. Like, you can reach out to me at any time, ask me questions. There's several of you that do, but that's an open invitation for everybody. I live just 10 minutes south of town. I can come up, meet with you, whatever is needed. But that is, that's one direction communication, right? I need to figure out how best to keep you guys informed when there's changes such that it's not a surprise, right? So what's the mechanism that I can do better to keep you guys informed? That's
Well,
open for discussion.
In my opinion, the last one that we had was really our fault. Was that we asked for some rescoping of the project, which took more of your time. So I don't think that the burden falls completely on you. I think some of that falls on us as well. But I can tell you that these visits that you make, we don't get them from everybody we work with. And I think this opportunity to speak with you it's a pretty effective way to communicate. And the card, it's nice that you gave that card so they can call you whenever they need to. I know some of us have your number already, but not everybody does. So, Mrs. Steve, did you have anything else? I know Miss McClellan had something, and then Mr. Bateman.
So is this do you work for other cities, and is it essentially the same process? You have, with a change order, you have to come before the city council? and-
Yeah.
So it's the same process for everybody?
Yeah. So, and what we try to do is we want to be as fair with our original proposal as we can. There's certain clients that are difficult to deal with, and we could add more hours to those, right? But we want to make sure you guys can budget accordingly and all that. We want to keep those numbers as tight as we can. But part of that working relationship is knowing that, like, hey, if there is a change, let's talk about it and figure out what's a fair compensation to make sure that, you guys are getting good service, but we're also taken care of as well.
I feel like you really communicate really well. Actually, you explain things on a level that at least I can understand. Sometimes there's some technical things, and I feel like you do a really good job. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
And we did have a discussion today on the department head call. And I think one of the things we need to talk about, so I'm not trying to put you on the spot here because this is the first you're hearing about it, but I think we need to talk about also building some contingency into our design and engineering. We don't typically do that. And I think that will help with some of the issues with these overages. Now, in looking at this one, this work order number 7, it's over beyond a 10% contingency, but I think we can get better at what we do. So just a suggestion to take back and give some thought to.
Okay.
And the council, you can think about that too, if that's something that you think will help. Mr. Bateman?
So I apologize because the first part of your speech there was probably a direct result of my phone call to yourself and your boss about explaining what happened on the pavilion thing, which I will take a lot of responsibility. Sam sat in that meeting, and Tracy, we, again, like I tried to explain to the council that night, is CMT came in with a budget of a pavilion on the grass. During that discussion, we raised it 3 feet into the air with ADA compliant ramps and that kind of stuff. So it was, like Tracy said, it was the council's fault. But I called CMT and said, hey, maybe next time we need to, in the meeting, pause and tell us, say, hey, I'll let you know if we can do this under that, if not. So that, I appreciate you coming forward and explaining how we're gonna do this moving forward, you know, so that the other members don't get, surprised when you come forward for something that they had already agreed on. So if it's, and I don't sit in everything, but you're the engineer. If you think we need to pause and have a discussion,
So
You should
in that case, you know, there's a Parks Committee. I mean, but we also, you know, work with Walt, we work with Andrew and now Taz. So, you know, we're not on an island. We want to get that feedback and make sure we're getting good direction from you guys. But, you know, decisions that are made, kind of directions that's cast, I still feel like I could do a better job of communicating that to the council. So, like, if there is a change and a clarification, maybe a potential that we could go over if we're heading down a path, is that something where I need to send like a memo to the council just as an advisory?
just send an email to everybody to give us a heads up
Okay.
that this is happening.
Okay.
I don't want to, I guess what I'm saying is, I don't want to delay a project if it's time constraint because of the way government runs.
Right.
And you may have a problem right after a voting meeting, which the citizens don't know. That now puts us 3 weeks behind because you got to wait the week for the cow and wait the other week. So,
And that was one of where I was kind of getting that, where if I've talked to, say it's the Parks Committee or one of the department heads, and we kind of have a path forward. So in the case of the pavilion, Ashley was trying to finish up that T-Mobile grant. She needed our plans. We needed to keep working on it. We didn't want to delay 3 or 4 weeks. In the case of the amendment that we'll get to here in a minute, the bids came in favorably on the first rebuild bid plans that went out, so we needed to turn around and do the second one as quickly as we could to make sure that we could expend those funds within the grant deadlines. So we don't want to delay a project, but we also don't want to leave you guys in the dark in the process. So anyway, I want to work with you guys to work out that line of communication.
Ms. McClellan?
Might be helpful too and that maybe the committee could have informed us ahead of time too, that there's going to be some changes and things. That might have been helpful too, so it wasn't, because it was a pretty big dollar amount, and so I think it was maybe more the dollar amount and that we didn't know, and maybe that's something that we should handle in-house first, and then when it comes to him, then we know what he's explaining or something.
Yeah, it was again. It was the Parks Committee's fault, not necessarily the council's. Communication is key in everything we do, and transparency. In that case, we had some things that we had asked for, and when Shane and his team came back, they were more than we thought, and we had to make some adjustments along the way. And so, not to get into the weeds of how we got here, but that played a part in it. Now, I can tell you that due to the overage, and Ms. O'Donoghue rightfully raised concerns last time, there was some ornamental stuff that was on the design of that pavilion. And to try to counter the overage, the Parks Committee had a discussion. We talked with Shane, and Ultimately, I made the decision to remove the ornamental piece. It was like several $1,000s. And in my opinion, it is something that if we decide to do at a later point in time, we can do that. But right now, it at least keeps us within the budget and the expectation of the council. So, Mr. Parrott.
I was just going to ask, so when a committee gets together, and they make recommendations or changes to what the council had approved, do we have a protocol or a procedure in place to notify the council?
We brought it to council,
Okay.
and ultimately the council voted on it. We worked, yeah, we worked through the details of it, and then we brought what the Parks Committee's recommendation was to the council for approval.
Okay, you said that last time about raising it.
Yeah,
That wasn't original.
The vote of the actual design of the pavilion, none of that changed. All we did was, when he brought forth the drawings, and we had just had a movie night, we all pictured ourselves sitting on the lawn, and then you're raising your head trying to see if there's a live band or a program. Then all of a sudden it's like, let's raise this up, put it up a little bit with a block wall, and that was the design change which then fell into ADA compliant, and what are we going to do with the water and that kind of stuff. So it was the park committee's fault. The pavilion looks exactly like what you voted for, just 3 feet higher.
Well, we did.
It's not 3 feet.
But we talked about
Taller.
simple things like gutters, like with rain coming off the edge of the roof, what that would do to the concrete over time and things like that. We talked about paint colors. I mean, we talked about it in great detail. But lesson learned, we will be better about this stuff moving forward. So apologies to the council.
Did we get the T-Mobile grant?
We did not get the T-Mobile grant. We're going to reapply for it.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
It's a pretty competitive grant because a lot of people know about it, but I think it was $50,000 is how much that would have brought. And then we're going to apply for the Viper Mine grant coming up this year again. So that's a multi-year grant, and hopefully we get that one. That'll help offset some expenses. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. Shane, did you have anything else?
So I was going to talk about this particular request
Please do.
as long as nobody has any other questions before we move on. Okay. So this particular request, and there's kind of a long history here from when we actually bid things to when they built them to, I mean, we were still hashing out the final quantities and contractor pay estimate like right before Christmas. So that while it seems like, hey, this is stuff from 2 years ago, it's because it was stuff from 2 years ago, but it was still getting hashed out weeks ago. So, but originally we had work order 3, which was locally funded streets. That was Kankakee, North Union, 3rd Street, and McLean Street. And then we had work order 7, which was initially 8th Street, Wyatt Street, Chicago Street. We bid those at the same time. We wanted to try and get favorable bids. The more you can do at the same time, odds are you're going to get better bids that way. Turned out we did. We got very favorable bids, such that on the rebuild side, we weren't going to expend all the grant money that was available. So then, naturally, we don't want to throw money away. So we then regrouped and put together another set of plans that had to go to IDOT for approval, environmental sign-off. We bid the project, and then it went to construction, and it was constructed at the same time as the rest of it because the low bid contractor from the first 2 was also the low bid contractor on the 3rd because they were in the catbird seat. And it actually just works out well for the city that you got very, very good bids. What I should have done when we were in the approval process for the rebuild number 2 is I should have said, hey, we might go over because we expended this extra, we're going to expend this extra effort. Okay, so rebuild 2 was Stall Hut Drive, Malrich Drive, Taylor Court. So in the course of construction now, we're tracking 3 projects instead of 2, tracking quantities, doing contractor pay estimates and that. So that's all added cost. When all is said and done, we went over by 16,000 and change on the rebuild side, and we were short on the work order 3 local building or local roads by about 13,000, just over 13,000. So this amendment is in an effort to make us whole. We would like to get your permission to transfer from work order 3 to work order 7, because that's all was already budgeted. And then to further make us whole is about another $3,100 to finish that out. So does that make sense, at least how we got to where we are today, where we had 2 projects, 1 local, 1 rebuild, good bids, so we added another project to that. We never came back and asked for the money for doing that additional project. We were just tracking costs, and that's kind of the way the money shook out, the hours shook out.
It makes sense to me.
Can you repeat that number or the money amount, please?
The money amount, so, again, we were doing 3 projects simultaneously. On the work order 7, we went over by $13,196. And then
16.
$16,196.
It's in the packet on page 3.
And then on work order 3, we didn't use $13,058.93. So instead of doing a separate work order for that rebuild number 2 project that we put together, we would like your permission to transfer from work order 3 to work order 7. And then with the way we've tracked our hours, we're still short by 3,137.
And all work on work order 3 is complete.
I see it in the packet now. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thoughts? Questions for Shane? Mr. Anderson?
Is both of these work orders, both 3 and 7, completed now?
So the work's complete, except they have one, the contractor needs to come back and uncover 1 manhole that they paved over. And we're holding payment, well, technically Walt's holding payment on that until that work is complete. But we've checked quantities and everything's good to go on that.
Just for a time frame, like when did work order 3 and work order 7, when did they begin, just roughly?
So they started technically in the fall of '24. So in wintertime, so PH Broughton out of Springfield was the low bid contractor for all 3 contracts. They started that fall doing some concrete work, some curb ramps, that sort of stuff. Unfortunately, they were using it as filler work over those winter months, kind of when the weather was nice. They'd put a crew together, work for a couple weeks, then they might be gone for a couple weeks. It didn't. And, well, it didn't for them, and it didn't for us because when the contractor is working real slow like that, we're using hours on the project that we expect them to move in and get the job done and move out. Well, because they were waiting to do the paving till later, it just drug the whole project out. So the paving was completed. They finished up in probably July, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so in July of '25 is when they finished paving, pavement striping, all that. And since July, we've been working back and forth with the contractor to make sure they have all the documentation in such that IDOT will approve their portion of it. There's a lot of back and forth with that because it's like, hey, you did curb work on this day. We don't have a concrete ticket. Send us a concrete ticket for this day. And there's a lot of office work behind the scenes to make sure that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. And that's why I was saying, even though the work was completed in July, it's some of the dickering back and forth on quantities and getting that completed is just recently wrapped up.
So did you guys eat the cost on those extra hours for administrative work, or did they get charged to the city?
We're in the process of eating that. So this is actually catching us up for the field work, and we understand that we've picked up and put down some of the quantity work, and anytime you pick up and put down a project, there's inefficiencies there. And we realize we have some of our own inefficiencies in finishing out that paperwork, so we're not charging the city for all that. So this is really to make us whole on the field work. And, we're eating some costs on that.
The field work that was complete, how long ago was it completed?
Yeah, it was in July.
Last July?
Yeah, July of 25.
So then you knew that there was going to be overages and costs since July?
On the field work? That's a good question. I'm not sure exactly when we knew we were going over on that.
Yeah. Because I think what we would like to know, when we're going to go over, I mean, here it is, 7 months later. It'd be nice to know earlier.
Yeah.
But that would be only
And
my
that's
suggestion.
what I'm saying. When we back up to 2024 and when we asked the council's approval for those additional targets on the rebuild number 2, I should have said, hey, or at least let you guys know that we need to track costs and we could potentially go over at that point.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Landers.
Yeah, so this was challenging. We were working under the gun trying to get stuff so we can make sure we got that rebuild Illinois money spent. When we get back a bid, it's a lot less than we thought it was. Definitely, like Shane said, we want to make sure we expend all that money. So we were chasing a moving target a lot of times. So we were always working to move forward so we could make sure that we used the funds that we had available to get work done. And then I will mention that the contractor was a little late on billing too, which caused some concerns, or not concerns, but delays. They weren't in a big hurry to get their billing or their invoices out so that the CMT crew could confirm or question the quantities and things. So it was a challenge. It was the first time anything like this. I've been here almost 12 years, and it was the first time that we had anything that was that challenging as far as one set project. And we were paying from general funds, we were paying from the RBI money, and then we're paying from MFT. So there was a lot going on.
Any other questions for Shane? Okay. So is the council okay putting this additional amount of $3,137.85 on the regular agenda? And I'm assuming we need to authorize the transfer from 3 to 7? Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
We'll place both those on the regular agenda then. Mr. Bateman.
This is not for Shane, but I don't know how many complaints. I know Steve asked several times during a meeting. I don't want to do this filler work anymore because Peach Broughton left a lot of driveways undone for weeks on end. It was not pleasant getting the phone calls and complaints. You guys tore up my driveway when you coming back to do it. I understand why we did it, thinking it would benefit us in getting a lower bid, but as a citizen, we need to be more prudent on when we tear up somebody's driveway, that we're going to be back and fix it, and not, hey, when the contractor gets slow, he'll be back.
Right. I agree with that.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Shane.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, next item up is item number 6, Economic Development Commission approval. Kevin and Alyssa Schneff, 414 Pulaski Street. This was a request that, and I'm reading the memo in the packet, that on January 16th, the commission met and approved the application. It is a structural improvement grant. It's for tuck pointing, And the amount requested is $7,500. Mr. Bateman.
I got it pulled up here on the computer. Is there a business that's going to go in there, or are they fixing this up to flip it and sell it? Because according to Google, it's empty.
Mr. Conzo.
As I recall from discussions on the, and reviewing that application and discussions in that committee meeting, they're not going to flip it, they're going to retain it, and they're going to rent it out to another business. The name of which I can't remember, but they are planning to rent this out to somebody else.
They're going to retain ownership of it.
Yes, they're going to.
Okay.
That's right.
I don't mind these grants, but I don't want to get in the business of loaning out money just to flip for a profit either.
I agree.
Yep. Okay. Any other questions? Place this on the, excuse me?
For us old people, it's the old gym lunchroom.
I believe so.
I said old people.
Nope. Well, you aged yourself, sir. Okay, place this on the regular agenda. Okay. Next up is item number 7, Museum of Route 66, approval of design concept and estimated cost of $24,500 covered under the Route 66 grant. Mr. McCoy.
This is basically just the approval because of the amounts, and it gives you a first view of what this is going to be for this particular item, or these two items, 7 and 8, that are in your packet. And I think, we have some pictures up there. So I'll be happy to answer any questions. The funding, while you have to approve for the expenditure, obviously, by ordinance, it is covered under the Route 66 grant that we were awarded and still waiting for the state to process. And I do apologize for my outfit today. I wanted to update everybody on the museum, so I thought I'd bring you some paint samples. Unfortunately, they're all over me. But that's it. Any questions on?
Do you want to explain the conceptual drawing here?
Sure.
Yeah, there's 2 of them here.
Yeah, so the first one is the sign for the Museum of Route 66. Obviously, it's a large sign. There are 2 versions that you'll see in there. It's actually the same sign with a kind of a day and night mock-up. So during the day, it'll be essentially a painted sign, and you'll see that. And at night, it will be lit with a neon. It's actually called a LED rope neon, so we will be able to control it with a computer. So on the 4th of July, I can make it red, white, and blue, things like that. It'll stick out, so that'll make it also a photo op instead of just a sign, and make it very easy to see from both directions as people are traveling Route 66.
Okay, and
It's the same on the other side.
Same.
Yeah, or similar. I mean, it's flipped, but yes, it'll be on both sides. You'll see
can
that.
you address the artist you're working with on the rendering and the Historic Preservation Commission aspect of
Okay,
this?
so Scott Lindley is helping with this design. I mean, essentially, it was my design, and he did the mock-ups for me as we were discussing, how's the neon going to work and how would this work, because he's obviously a sign expert and I'm not. But I wanted, certain things out of it, and this really met everything that I wanted to see. So I'm really, really pleased with that. If you remember a couple weeks ago or a couple meetings ago with the Historic Preservation Commission and the map, that this is why this came up, is because the building and the property was inside that area, and now it's in that kind of exclusion zone, if you will, since you're kind of getting permission from yourself to do something. And this will be discussed at the meeting this week, I believe, with the commission, and I will be there. But since it's technically in an exclusion zone, it may just be discussion. Did you want to add anything to that?
No, just mention that Scott is not Scott McCoy, Scott Lindley. Yeah. He's also the artist for the mural at the Welcome Park. So we've worked with him before.
Yeah, and he will actually do the other 2 murals that are part of this grant as well. One right across the street from here on Mr. Lovington's property, and it'll point to the museum. The penny will, in this picture that you're seeing, it'll go right there. You go. Thank you. Yeah, right there by the old night deposit area, somewhere in there where you can pull up a car.
So,
Will it be on metal as well, or will it be painted on the building?
No, so the penny is a standalone structure. It's very similar to the donut, same artist. So Mark will create that, and it'll be a freestanding structure on kind of a pedestal.
okay, hold on. Because we're moving into the next agenda
Okay,
item.
all right.
So for this agenda item, is the council okay placing this on the regular agenda? Mr. Anderson?
So looking at this, looks like it's sticking out the side of the building. The other six, the last six on there,
Yes.
not real visible. I mean, most people know Route 66.
Oh, yes.
Is
Yeah.
that, I don't know if I like the looks of that with not having the full six shown out there.
Yeah. The only way to have the full 6 and to keep it large like that would obviously be to stick it out from the building. Then it would require supports that would be exposed if you want any kind of a tilt or to have the full shield out there. So if you think about the side of a building and you're going to put an emblem out there and show the whole thing, now you're going to have a support in the top and the bottom that are sticking out, and you'll see supports. It'll also make it quite a bit smaller because you can't extend past the right of way and with the city sidewalk and so forth. So the object, again, I could probably name 2-3 dozen places that'll have something kind of similar to this look of a sign with neon, and they're like that. They will stick out, or it'll be flat against a building. And that would make us kind of the same as a lot of others. And my vision is to make it different, stick out, and be something, unique that'll make Lincoln really stand out. When somebody they're going to stand underneath this, take a picture of it, and share it. That's free marketing.
Mr. Becky?
What is the size of that? What's the actual dimension? Is that like the frame or?
It's about 16 feet square.
And is it built in the building, or is it just on the outside of it?
It'll be attached to the outside of the building, so there's really nothing built other than the structure. So it'll be put right in there. Walt said that he and I can take a ladder and put it up there.
Is that what you're,
That isn't what I was going to say, and I wasn't volunteering either.
okay, Mr. Landers?
So have we inspected the building itself? What's the weight of this? And is the building structurally sound enough to hold that?
Okay, so structurally wise, as far as like engineering, we haven't got to that point yet because we're just making sure we don't spend money on something unless the council's cool with it. We did do a general inspection, and that is supported in the back on the, technically, most of that is above the ceiling, the outside roof line. So we can get completely behind that, and then there are 45-degree I-beams that are supporting that facade. So generally talking with Scott on this, that shouldn't be a problem. But it'll be...
Well, Scott helped with the mural too, and we had to put a post to put the mural on. So that's why I'm asking the question.
Okay, yeah. But that's definitely something we're going to have to dig into.
And my questions come strictly from the mural.
Oh, yeah.
All the things that we ran into that we had to do differently than what was first planned.
The fortunate difference here is that we have grant money to cover this, and we don't have to we don't have to have a special fabricated support that will cost us out of our pocket. Mr. Becky, and then who else? Mr. Downs, and then Mr. Conzo.
Could you tell me the longevity of that type of a sign? I mean, it's not really neon, but it's made
Correct.
to look like neon.
Correct.
So is that like a metal aluminum framing, and it's a tough exterior, taking the weather, because that's going to be, let's see, facing the north then? I mean, as it juts out, is it?
Well,
Depending on how the wind's going to hit it?
correct. It's definitely going to catch wind, no question about that. It is a hollow structure with a steel support system, internally, but it'll be hollow, and then it'll be aluminum which is essentially what the substrate is for most of the murals, and then that will just be affixed to the outside. The neon itself, again, it's a rope neon, it's an LED controllable type of neon, that is easily replaceable from the outside.
And the front is like a plastic, because
It's aluminum.
it is aluminum.
Yeah.
The flat side of the white portion.
Correct. And then, so the Route 66, so Mayor, if you can go back to the previous one, it'll be painted onto this will be painted onto the aluminum. So really, it's just a shield with painting on it. And then the neon would go and be affixed to the outside of
By
it.
chance give like a warranty or any type of a extension warranty on that type of a sign for a certain period of time? Or is that just as soon as it's
No.
up, there's no?
Yeah, it would be,
Workmanship.
we have to make sure that the craftsmanship and the engineering, like Walt brings up, is make sure that that is correct, because we don't want this to obviously to fall or catch too much wind and that sort of thing. So those are definitely the things that we'll be looking at.
I was kind of thinking of the when we did the roads, with the Route 66 on the roads and how that got, that was probably not the best material for that situation, being raised a little. Great idea, but I think that material is a little different. So I just wondering if this, thinking down road of longevity,
Yeah.
is going to be there for years and years to come, that'd be that's great. And that is the front entrance, correct?
That's
That's the
correct.
main
That's right over the main entrance of the museum. That's correct. Yeah, there's no question. It will have to have some maintenance down the road, like any sign does, especially one that's painted and isn't, plastic or something like that. But it is unique.
Mr. Downs.
Okay, well, I put my hand up, and then Walt and then Tim asked very similar questions, so I was just going to ask.
Just go ahead and ask it.
Anyway, so I believe Walt asked how much the thing weighed. And I know you don't know the exact weight or whatever, but I guess I was just kind of hinting around at a safety aspect. You said that you've done signs like this before. Have there been any safety issues with any of those signs? It does look like it's going to... I'm assuming it's made of light material, and as Tim mentioned, it's going to catch a lot of wind. So I just want to make sure it's. How's it secured up there again? You said I.
Well, that'll come in the next step. So there's kind of a multi-step process. Number one is we designed it out. We've been working with this, and then we bring it to you, because if the council says no, absolutely not, we don't like that at all, we're not going to continue with all the other stuff. But that'll be, we've been in the prelim talks of that. But again, we look at aluminum substrate, so it's covered in aluminum, and it's a shell that's around a steel welded interior. It's not solid, it's a frame, and then that would go in and fasten into the building. I mean, there is a possibility we get to that next step and we have somebody a lot smarter than me look at it and go, there's really no way to fasten that to the building properly to really, okay, well then we have to come back to the drawing board. But we're couple steps from there. That's actually going to take tearing into the building a little bit to inspect it even further.
Scott, are we using the same company to fabricate the sign that was used for the Lincoln letters, was used for the Tropic sign?
No.
Different?
There's not been a company for this specified yet.
Okay.
So it'll be probably a local contractor to build the structure itself. And then the sign, which would be Scott, would create the outside and fasten it to it.
Well, the reason I ask is because to Mr. Becky's point, the Tropic sign, we haven't had to do anything as far as retouching the paint or anything. Now, the neon's a whole different story. Walt can tell you some horror stories about that, about the timers going out and stuff. But the sign itself has held up pretty well, and it looks like the Lincoln letters are built very well as well. So just something to think about as we're moving forward with the manufacturer.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Conzo.
Thank you, Mayor. So if I understand this correctly, this $24,500, that includes the design and the manufacturing of it and the installation of it. Is that correct?
Right. That was the estimate that we put into the grant to cover the sign. So we expect all of that to come in under that. As you know, things change, or it may be way outside of what we did, but that's, yeah.
So at this point, we would budget this or plan this to be not to exceed the $24,500.
Correct. Yes, because that's all that the grant will cover that was submitted. Yep.
Okay, any other questions about the sign? Okay, is the council okay placing this on the regular agenda? Okay, we'll place item number 7 on the regular agenda. Now let's move on to the penny. Item number 8, giant penny sculpture at the Museum of Route 66. Approval of estimated cost $25,000 covered under the Route 66 grant. Mr. McCoy?
Yeah, so again, this is a standalone structure. It'll be placed in the parking lot area somewhere. Again, to be determined exactly because of utilities and so forth. It will be freestanding, very similar to the donut that we already have here in town. It's about, I want to say it's 10 or 12 feet, if I remember right, in diameter. And it'll look exactly like a typical Lincoln penny other than the 2026, which is pretty unique because they ended the penny last year. So that makes this almost kind of a cool thing. And the 66, embedded into that with the shield. Of course, that ties it in with Route 66. And if you remember, those of you that were here when I first came to the council and started and we were talking Route 66, I gave you a penny. And it has that stand. There you go. So all the pennies, yeah, look at that. That will then become a souvenir that we will create that you can buy. So not only can you stand there, take a picture with it, put your card in front of it, take a picture and all of that, and it'll say Lincoln, Illinois. You can go inside and get a penny that looks exactly like that. And it's a real minted U.S. penny. Other than it won't be 2026, obviously. Yeah, yeah, exactly. But it is the same gentleman that did the donut and a lot of other structures. He's definitely a good friend of mine. And he'll actually be participating with other things with us with the exhibits inside the museum as well.
And it'll go on the side of the building again in this area right here.
Correct. That's the current plan pending utilities and all of that.
And Ms. Bateman pointed this out. This is a handicap sign. We're going to have discussions about parking at those buildings as well. As you can see, there's already handicap out front, but this is, an ADA compliant ramp, so we'll have to have conversations about where to move this to. There's parking spaces back on this side as well. So, but anyways, questions about the penny? Mr. Becky?
Is that still going to be the parking area that, like an entrance exit right there? So you're talking about the no parking or the handicap parking. So the other one that's over by Melacream, that's just all open. So that's not really protected to any traffic or anything, cars, you want them to park by it. So this would be the same situation, right?
Very similar to it, yeah.
Do you have any other spots in the area that you think you would want to put it, like around the other side of the building, or you have a second?
No, because we want it in the front to grab attention as people are on 66, just like the sign, essentially.
You wouldn't want it under the entrance area in that alcove or whatever they call that.
Correct. One of the big draws for a lot of people, things like this, is to pull your car up next to it and take a picture. And that was the idea here, to where if we put it at a little bit of an angle, but kind of up next to the building or next to the sidewalk, then you could still get around that utility pole in the alley, and we can make a drive.
And you might be able to get that sign in the same picture.
Correct. Yeah, and from one angle, like he had up there, it would be the same.
Set it up some way where it could be
Yeah, absolutely. The whole side of that building, while there's several parking spots there, again, that will be a discussion that we'll have to come up with of what we want to do with that. There's a possibility of taking out those parking spaces altogether and doing things like this, putting a mural on the side of the building. There's all different kinds of ideas and things that are happening there, but again, a couple steps ahead of the game. Those parking spots actually go all the way to the back. So if we fill those up with cars, it blocks the garbage, and they can't. So the last two really need to be removed anyway because the truck can't get in there. So there's other things to discuss with the parking spaces.
I mean, it's a pretty good spot for future exhibits.
Yeah.
That would be appropriate to fit in that space.
Yeah, if we could get a roadside, giant of Mayor Welch and put them on
No,
the side
please
there or
don't.
something, that'd be great.
Please
Right
don't.
next to the penny.
But also, if you remember, and I'm going to send an email out to the council about, I've already got it prepared, I just haven't sent it, that shows the complex, the whole building and everything that we purchased and how it's broke down. But on there, I'm indicating the parking spaces directly across this alley on, like, you can't see it, but to the right here, there's the Hot Frog Design building. We own all the parking spots next to that now as a result of this purchase. So there is parking opportunity still within this area for people to park, and people have been parking there. So, in addition to all the parking spaces we acquired back on Pekin Street in Chicago. Okay. Any other questions about the penny? Mr. Landers?
Yep, I have a question. It says concrete base with Lincoln, Illinois text built by the city. What was
Correct.
the intentions of that?
That was the design of obviously just the base that we came up with it. It may not be done by the city. It may be done by a contractor or subcontractor. What I was trying to point out there is that is not part of the penny from
It's
the
separate.
manufacturer. Yeah. So the design was originally to put it up against the wall and have a support. Then we went, no, we better have it freestanding. So that is definitely something, when we get to that next step, if the council likes this concept, then we'll have to start discussing that. And it may not look exactly like that, obviously.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Other questions? Place this on the regular agenda? Okay. We'll place item number 8 on the regular agenda. Thank you, Mr. McCoy.
Did you want me to bring up the phone booth real fast? Would you like-
Yeah, why don't you get some feedback from the council on that one?
Okay.
This is a walk-on topic, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. The phone booth on top of City Hall obviously is an attraction, and it's a Route 66 attraction and all the guidebooks and so forth. When I was up there, I put a camera up there for the Christmas parade, et cetera. So when I went back up, I noticed that the booth is kind of in bad shape as far as the paint and the color and, some of the things like this. And it looked like it was painted green at one point. So I did a little bit of research. I talked with the mayor. I actually even talked with Chief Johnson and Deputy Chief Harding on this, and they did a little research as well, that it looks like it was green. We don't know what year exactly at this point, but it does just need some touch up. And if it looks like that was kind of the historic color instead of blue. They're typically kind of a light blue for a thing. So as I started looking into souvenirs and things like this to go along with all of the Route 66 stuff, I don't want to do blue if it's green, and it should be green, and it needs to be touched up anyway. So I just wondered if anybody had any thoughts on that or any direction of where you want to go.
Yeah, so when Scott and I were talking about this, my feedback to him was the phone booth is in every Route 66 travel guide. People come in town, they take photos of it. It's a part of this building. That's why it got put back on the building when we redid the roof. We actually, the chief will tell you that we have a anchor up there for people that we do take up there from time to time that can put a harness on for safety reasons. That being said, Mr. Woodhull will tell you that when they removed the phone booth for the roof work, some of the lower panels are in bad shape. And I think this is an opportunity to do some minor repairs to the phone booth so that it's around for years to come. And it would be an opportunity for Mr. McCoy to work and get that painted to an appropriate color. So I wanted the council to weigh in on this, just given the nature of that booth and its significance to Lincoln and this building. Yeah, some of the lower panels are rotted out. It's been up there a long time.
Does that have any other history besides it being a tornado site? I mean, does it have anything else that maybe, in order to get some other grants for that as well? Or something, it is a unique thing. I just saw something on YouTube the other day. It was done like 8 years ago. I don't know who it was that went up there and they did it, whoever took.
I've done one.
Somebody up there, they did a road thing.
Yeah, I did.
Mhm.
And that is a very unique thing to Lincoln. I mean, that is a one little hook thing that is very unique.
halfway point between Metropolis and Chicago. So that's why it's up there. That's where Superman stopped to rest. That's what I tell all the barbecue people when they come to town every single year for 15 years. It sticks.
It is not uncommon during nice weather to watch people stand on the courthouse square and take photos of that all the time.
Would you consider, I mean, like any type of a drawing to it, illumination of it during night or anything like that? I mean, just throwing
Yeah, we could.
Yeah, there's been some discussion. We've talked about a lot of things as I'm
Careful.
learning more about it too.
He likes neon, so be careful. He'll put neon on it.
Yeah, and we can do, I think a permanent camera up there that we can have a webcam. And there's a lot of different things I'd love to do if you all throw more money at me. Yeah, but at this point, I want to make sure that we follow and the mayor was very adamant on this too in our call, that keeping the historic aspect of it, of what it is, even though it's not, 1819 or something, but it's known and we don't want to go changing that. And the color is so bad on there that I did research. I found some pictures where it was fully green. So if it was green, which makes sense for Lincoln, and I want to make sure that all of our other things that we do with it match it, and we can fix it up in the meantime. But again, we're talking souvenirs, and if we put it in flyers, I actually made, if you remember, the mayor had a phone booth with a Christmas tree in it that I made with a 3D printer. But if you look at that, it had blue sides and blue telephone because that's traditionally what it is. And then when I went up and I noticed this was green, I went, okay, that's interesting. So I just want to make sure that that's the way it is, things that we do. And this will be tied in some pretty unique ways with the museum too, to make sure it all matches. It would be. Yep.
Okay, Mr. Bateman?
I don't want to get way off in the weeds here, but we have a local metal fabricator. Can we get him up there to see what it would take to get it repaired back?
Yeah.
He helped Wes out with some supports out here on the awning. I think we should get him up there and get an estimate on what it would cost to repair it.
It's the bottom panels, they're pretty roached, right? Not the top part.
From everything I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's really not in that bad a shape. It's really just those bottom panels.
Yeah.
Structurally, it's not in bad shape at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just get somebody up there to look at it and get us a price to replace the bottom panels.
I mean, we did look at when we were doing the roof, and there wasn't a lot that needed done to it other than, I mean, if it's faded color-wise.
I agree. These phone booths are pretty solid. I mean, they're very heavy and they're solid, but it's just the panel. It's like that big. It's just kind of covers your ankles area when you would stand in a phone booth. And they need to be, taken out and repainted or something. I don't really know if it needs even repair.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the coloring of the panels is the only thing I was concerned about.
So unless there's objection from the council, we'll go ahead. Scott can take charge on this one. Let's get someone up there to look at it and what it would take to repair it, and be cost conscious. But let's all also look at what some of the appropriate colors are, and while they're working on it, they can take care of the coloring. And I think it's a good opportunity. I said the neon stuff being sarcastic, but I do think just some subtle lighting might be kind of neat. We've never seen that before. So, I mean, we'll have to turn them off when the fire department puts the Christmas tree up there, which, is it still up there?
The tree is. I unplugged it, but yes, the tree is still up there.
Okay. Mr. Parrott and then Ms. McClellan.
Yeah, if you could just make sure also you get a working telephone up there as well, in case somebody's up there, they need to make a call.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. Right to Superman.
Ms. McClellan.
I was just thinking we might not want to make it too attractive because that could be, teenagers might want to go up there at night and make it, so might want to make it too attractive.
Without a fireman.
Yeah, I don't even know how you would get up there without the hatch, and the hatch is locked.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
roof, yeah. So
Very few people have been up there.
it's an experience for sure. It's very unique.
is. It's very neat. Okay. Anything else for Mr. McCoy? Scott, anything else for us?
Nope. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. So you got it number 8 on the regular agenda? Okay. Moving on to number 9, agreement between Logan County Animal Control and the City of Lincoln. Chief Meister.
Thank you, Mayor. Historically, the city of Lincoln has always contracted with Logan County Animal Control for our animal control services. Here recently, I was asked to review the contract. I believe the mayor's intent in asking me to do so was because my agency makes the most requests and works closely with animal control. In reviewing the contract, I proposed some changes to it. Obviously, the dates have been changed to coincide with our fiscal year. The sum of payment to Logan County from the city was also changed. And then some other language that I'll go into in a moment has been changed. And that's probably some of the most important aspects of the changes in this contract. So the sum of $4,000 a month I came up with based on review of previous contracts that we've held with Logan County Animal Control. That is the highest amount that we have paid them in the past per month for their services. So I returned what was a $3,500 monthly payment to a $4,000 monthly payment. And the reason for doing so is I made some changes to the contract that will require some extra work out of animal control. We need them 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. That includes holidays and weekends and 2 o'clock in the morning calls and all of that. So that's included in the contract on page 2 under subsection D, enforcement of animal control laws. This requires animal control to respond to dogs and cats running at large, bite cases, abandonment, whether voluntary or involuntary, and injured dogs and cats 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. The reason why I put this in there, and that was changed from page 3, you can see that I struck some of the old language there relating to their response after normal business hours. Their response was kind of at their discretion and availability. That doesn't work for us when we have an issue in the middle of the night or on Christmas Day. We have to have somebody who's available to respond to our call for assistance. So that's where the increase in the sum that we will pay the Logan County Animal Control Department comes from, is my ask that they're available all the time. Moving on, there were a few changes in language in page number 3 related to who is going to prosecute cases that the animal control may generate. In the old language, it refers to Logan County State's Attorney only, but for our purposes, a lot of times the city attorney is going to prosecute those cases. So I changed the language just to the appropriate prosecuting authority. If it is a criminal case, not an ordinance case, obviously then the state's attorney can handle that. But if it's an ordinance violation, then the contract kind of covers the city attorney being the prosecuting authority there. Those are the biggest changes that have been introduced in this contract. I think the county has reviewed it and up until the point of agreeing on a price has approved it.
Correct.
Language-wise, correct? All right. If anybody has any questions about it, I'm open.
Mr. Bateman.
I don't have any questions. I've read this several times over the weekend and today several times and a couple times tonight. Being a long-standing animal control person when I was at the county and then now at the city, my biggest concern is staffing. I don't know if, the out clause, if they don't keep adequate staff and they're constantly calls are going unanswered or whatever, what is our recourse? That would be my only concern. All the language looks good. It's things that we used to do at animal control for the fee. But in the last few years, they've got a serious staffing issue, and that's my concern.
I'll agree with that. Some of their biggest hurdles have been related to staffing issues. At some points, they were unable to answer our request for help. correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we either stopped payment at one point, or animal control offered not to bill us for periods of time that they were unable to meet their requirements in the agreement that we were under at that time.
In the past, they were aware enough to know they didn't have staffing, so they came back and reduced the amount that they had asked for in the past. But there was a period of time where there was some, we weren't communicating quite well on this leading into this conversation of the animal control contract, and the clerk did withhold one payment, but they've since been paid, so, yeah.
And
Yeah,
to
they're
answer
current.
your question, Alderman Bateman, I apologize for interrupting. But to answer your question fully, I believe that the attorney may have to step in here, but it would be a breach of contract if they were unable to fulfill what's required of them.
Wonderful person, but at one point she was the only employee, and she can't work 24.
Agreed.
I know it says 24/7, but there was times she just overwhelmed. But when I was animal control at the county, obviously the city of Lincoln was well over 90% of the calls. So I understand the dollar amount and the contract. I'm just worried about staffing at the county.
I would, and I agree with you, because we've worked on a lot of issues since we've been up here about animal control. But the chief and I did go to a meeting at the courthouse. Jane was in that meeting, and she has been a contributor to this current document. And given the past history and relationship, I feel confident that if they don't feel they could meet that obligation, she would not have supported it being in there, and therefore the state's attorney would not have agreed to send this contract back to us. Unfortunately, you can never tell what happens in the future. We'll just have to adjust if something does happen. Mr. Parrott and Mr. Becky, did you want? Okay, Mr. Parrott first, and then Mr. Becky.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question. I mean, it sounds like we're gonna give them $6,000 more a year, but if they're not going to be able to do what is in the contract, what is our recourse, and do we need something in that contract to say, if you're not able to do a certain percentage, then it's an automatic reduction of the next month's, bill? Because we had a contract before, and it was mentioned they didn't do the work. So we got a contract here, potentially. They may not be able to do the work. What's in the contract that would put what would happen if they did not meet their end of the contract?
Mr. Hobley, you want to take that one?
I'd be a little bit hesitant to put in a tiered system to state that say if you don't perform, if you're not able to have somebody there during the evening hours, then you only get this much, because I don't want to give them an out, so to speak. The whole idea of doing it this way is because we need them there 24/7. Like Chief Meister indicated, that they would be in breach of the contract. We would. You could say that you could terminate the contract, but we don't want to do that either. The only thing we would need to do would be to potentially add language to where that if they don't, say that they would not, if they're not able to uphold their end of the bargain, they were not going to save any of the money, as opposed to a portion of the money, which I believe they would need that in order to operate, because we are probably one of their bigger clientele in the county area.
The biggest.
Would it be possible to put in the contract that they could come give a report monthly on the number of calls?
I would be hesitant to ask them to do that, because
or to provide a report.
I think a written report, like a financial report like tourism provides us, wouldn't be bad.
I don't want them to come here, because literally Jane Whiteman will field, I'm sure Joe will agree, 95% of these calls, and I don't think she needs to spend another evening sitting in the seat. But
we did it for others with head contracts as well.
I don't mind
taking
a written report.
taking the personality out of it, and
when I was animal control chairman at the animal control meeting every month, they provided the numbers, how many calls they went on to each municipality. So that would suffice for me. That hey,
How many calls they received? How many they didn't get to? I think that would be.
I think Chief can.
I think that is the statistic that you'd be interested in. That should be of interest to the city. Are there calls going unanswered? Not how many calls do they respond to, or the disposition of those calls, but are there calls being unanswered or going unanswered? That's what we want to know about.
I think
And I'll
knowing
hear
how many the city
coming from my guys.
from the city coming in, I think it would be kind of nice to know how many they actually receive. How many of them from the city, and how many are not.
Yeah, I think we can go back. If a compromise would be, perhaps we can ask, actually we do it with tourism too. Perhaps we can ask Ms. Whiteman to come in quarterly, or a representative of the county to come in quarterly and provide us an update. The reason why is because I know this, and I know Mr. Bateman does in working with Ms. Whiteman. She's already working a lot of hours. She's trying to raise kids. We're trying to be conscious of her time too. So she does have a contract with the city, and that is what's important to us. But I think perhaps a compromise would be a quarterly. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Mr. Becky and then Mr. Downs.
I did have a couple things about this real quick. That was a good point. For me, I would be satisfied with like the number of actual, not the number of calls, but the actual what was done, because that'll give us some numbers on validating that 4,000 a month. If we have to renegotiate or just say, hey, you only received this many, so is that really comparison to what you're doing? And, I mean, it's a good tool to have to say, okay, you only went on this number of calls in this month, average this many, but really it gives us an idea. I don't really need to look at the financials of what they're doing, but just the number of what actual calls they did. So that would be helpful for me to just see that. I wouldn't really, even quarterly, I mean, as long as she has those numbers, unless we have any other questions, I wouldn't see why we'd have to have her come in unless we had specific things that only she could answer and maybe do that. But to me,
Yeah, and to that point, and I'll let you finish. To that point, though, it's worth saying that we are the only community in Logan County that has a contract with them. They have terminated every other contract with every other community. Those communities operate under a premise that if they get a call for animal control, they call the mayor and ask the mayor if the city wants to pay for that call. If the mayor says no, they don't go on the call. And when we were talking with them about that, Chief, I forgot how much it was, $100 or was it $500? So $500 for a call, based on the volume of calls that we had, what we're paying is way less than what we would pay on a per call basis. So I just thought that that's worth sharing.
the other thing, maybe the city attorney could answer this question, on the first page term. I noticed it's renewed every month. It's really not a yearly contract, saying, okay, it's X amount of dollars for the year. It's saying either party can cancel it at any time at the end of each month. So is that something we're comfortable with?
Oh yes.
Okay.
The idea being is that you don't want to engage into a contract of this nature, and then set it out for, like, say, 2-3 years, and if you are unsatisfied within 3-4 months within the contract, you're kind of stuck with it, until that period, for that renewal period, unless there's termination provisions they could try to hang your hat on. But with the month to month aspect, all you have to do is give them 30 days notice that we're not going to renew.
Okay, well, and then vice versa too. It would put us in a situation to which we would need their services and they cancel, and then we're stuck with trying to find another whatever.
It's happened.
I was just looking on our end. They may cancel, not that we would. I mean, that's great to have that flexibility, but I'm just looking on the other way around that they cancel and say, okay, we're done. It's a month to month, and they have no obligation yearly. I wouldn't see a 3-year contract. I would say a year. But the month to month gives them the obligation to say, okay, we're done, and then we have to find something within a certain period.
But I think it's also worth pointing out, and I said this to them because they did call. It's been a few years back, but they sent a letter and said, we're terminating your contract. And I called them and I said, we are the largest community in Logan County. And without going into all the details of the conversation, the reality is we are the largest and we're paying the most to keep that operation going. And that means something to them because without us paying and contributing, they can't keep that operation going. Now, there's also the piece that there, and Mr. Bateman can maybe chime in, but I believe that there's some pieces that they are statutorily required to provide as a county that we could not provide without their support. And so it's kind of a hand-in-hand relationship. I will say in the past, the pendulum swung in a really bad direction, and we're rebuilding, and it's swinging in a good direction now. And I think it's because we've also got, not to say that they didn't have good people on the county board before, but the people that they have on animal control are very engaged in it. 2 county board members that I've talked to, and they were at the meeting with the chief and I, they are very vested in it. They're spending a lot of time talking to them. They're working. Actually, Chief, I believe they told us that they made sure there was enough funding, to Mr. Bateman's point about staffing, maintenance repairs on the building. So they're giving attention to animal control. And I think that kind of plays into why the chief felt comfortable in presenting the contract that he did. Mr. Hoblet, did you have something?
Yes, and it's just how you guys, however you're comfortable with proceeding with this contract. I think you guys could probably do the math, with them charging as much as they're saying for going out with these other municipalities, and we are still yet remaining there, get the most money from us. Obviously, they're not making that much from going to those calls because probably a lot of them do get denied for the amount of money that they're wanting for. They're wanting to respond to that. But sir, to your question, there is some wisdom, in that. I mean, there's a pendulum. There's pros and cons on either side. Another municipality I represent, Clinton, they had a situation over there for their animal control, and the issues with animal control are becoming prevalent all throughout the state. The county tried to move to cancel their contract, but they thought they were moving in a timely manner, but they turned out that they tried to move to terminate the contract 1 month after the contract renewed for another 3-month period. So they're on the hook till 2028 for services over there, even though they don't want to do those services. So they're kind of on the hook for that. Now, as to the quality of service you're going to be getting for something of that nature, where somebody who doesn't want to be doing it is being forced to do it, there's something to be said about that as well. Like I said, there's pros and cons to either side, because there's been talk, around Lincoln and other areas about other municipalities about alternative solutions to animal control from county animal control. So those could become ripe one day as well. So it's just kind of how you want to handle the situation given before you. I think it's a good contract that's before you right now.
Yeah, it sounds like we're satisfied with their service, right?
Yes.
For what they're doing.
Currently.
Last thing, Mr. Hoblet, maybe this is a very minor thing, maybe, but Section 3, services to be provided by county, and it is a maybe meticulous thing, but animal shelter, and really it just really focuses on dogs and cats, and the language is mixed around. Animals, dogs, cats, just dogs. I know dogs probably the most thing with bites and stuff. Cats are just a nuisance, so they're all over. Feral cats, I know. I got a couple. They got a couple that are, so just that language to me is mixed up, because it mentions dogs, cats, then it goes animals, and it says dogs. If there's some clarity, there's some reason for that.
Yeah, I think I can provide that to you. Animal control is the name of the agency. And when we talk about animal control, I think Mr. Bateman can back me up on this. That means dogs and cats. Domestic animals is what animal control will respond to. If we have a wild animal, we've had it before where a deer wanders into town and breaks through a pane of glass and is in a business. That's not an animal control call. That's we got to clean up a mess call. Farm animal wanders into town, same deal. A rabid or distemper raccoon, that's not an animal control call. They don't handle those types of
So
things.
they get calls probably, but they don't.
Yeah, typically they don't respond.
Statutorily, there's rules in the state on it. You're right. It should just say dogs and cats instead of using the word animal, because that you have to be licensed to go after raccoons and skunks and all kinds of other stuff, which they are not. So it's just a language thing. The way lawyers write things up, they throw in words they don't need to.
So that's really, for our city, that's all we're focusing on, is just the dogs and cats, not
Correct.
other
Yeah,
animals
John.
and squirrels, and all the other skunks and all that other stuff.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Downs.
Okay, so I read the contract and I just had a couple questions. It's a lengthy contract and they have a diverse job description there. And I do want to make sure that they're fulfilling every part of that contract. One of the parts was let me read it. It was section F, issuance of dog registration collection fees and maintenance. How do we know how is that being checked upon? And I'm looking at you, and I don't mean to single you out, Joe, or anything.
No, it's
but
fine.
we'll know, like you'll know if the police department is calling animal control and they're not doing something. But it's not a contract between the police department and animal control. It's with the city of Lincoln. So how does the city of Lincoln know if they're fulfilling the other elements of this contract, such as the rabies vaccination records or things like that? I mean, it's not like citizens are calling us and being like, hey,
Ask is my answer to that, but I think
So if you read the rest of that, Sam, those are the kind of languages we built into these things years ago. If you look there, the county gets to keep all fees. So it's in the county's best interest to get with the vets and inform the citizens that they have to have their animals registered because they get to collect the fee. So you're right. There is no checks and balances. I have very good friends that don't get their dogs rabies shots and get them, but it's just an education thing, and it's up to animal control to get. I don't know how they do it now. We gave the tags to the vet, and they collected the fee, and then animal control went and collected those tags. That's why it's built into that contract. That is animal control's responsibility, but it is also their way of, we're paying them to do that, and it's just an ask thing, and they, if they go on a call and the dog is not registered or whatever, they have the right to take the animal until it has a rabies shot and is registered.
They'll quarantine.
no,
them.
They quarantine the dog, or they go back. You have so many days to get it done, they go back.
Sure, I just assumed that if animal control finds a dog that they can't prove is vaccinated, that they would take action. I have no.
Yes, it's
doubt
not
about
leaving
that.
animal control without
Good.
a vaccination.
Good. But how do we know that they're maintaining these records? And I mean,
They are.
There's no one.
I mean, I think
It
I
is.
think when we getting back to Steve's point about the quarterly report, we can ask them to add how many tags have been issued in the last quarter and things like that.
Okay.
I mean, that's part of their statutory requirement that they do that. Now, they even go so far as to, in our conversations, we learned this, there are some people that don't want to pay the fee in Logan County, so they will take their animal to a neighboring county, but that neighboring county is still required to report back to Logan County if they do. It's a cost-saving measure. It's like, I better not bring that topic up. I was going to bring up gas, but we shouldn't talk about that.
You'll spend an unlimited amount of money on your pet because you love them to death, but you won't get a rabies shot or pay the $10 fee to have it registered.
Yeah.
That just boggles my mind.
But I guess to your point, it's like many of the things that our department heads deal with on a daily basis, is that you're supposed to be following the rules, and you can get away with it. But if something happens and you get caught, there's processes to go through. And in animal control, whether it's a dog at large that's biting or they get a call for barking or whatever, if they have to go down and investigate wellness checks, they do wellness checks too. If they go down there and find out they're not vaccinated, they can quarantine them and take possession of them. Now that leads it, and that's why they have a partnership with the police department, because sometimes the police department has to escort them to locations. Like there was one story of 2 or 3 years ago where a guy brought a samurai sword out and wielded it at the animal control warden. People, it's really odd. Some people don't want to be a very good, responsible pet owner, but they will adamantly defend the pet when the people that do want to take care of them come to question them. So,
I would just,
Mr. Parrott,
on the quarterly reports, then I would love to have that information as well. Number of
tags issued, number of calls that the pets didn't have, required vaccinations or whatever. Okay. Chief, can you
So
make a note of that?
my question is then, is that something that you want in the contract? Requirements for quarterly reporting, what types of items that you want in the quarterly report? Is it
Yes.
you want that in the contract?
Yeah, I would go back to our county board representatives and ask them to discuss that on their side. Mr. Conahan seems to be leading that effort.
Would
Reporting and then just put in suggestions. We'd like to know how many calls, if it's not a burden, how many calls they went on and how many they did not respond on. So we can come up with an average whether it's good. And then I think that the tags, that might be an annual thing. But it might be just a suggestion.
So are
Is
they
it
only
staggered?
reporting what in Lincoln, or are you wanting to know what they do outside of Lincoln also?
Just the city of Lincoln.
Just city of Lincoln, if they can.
Okay.
Okay, so I have for the quarterly report, statistics, call for service numbers and number of no-shows, animal registration statistics, like how many in the city of Lincoln. Is there anything else?
Yeah, yeah, good point. So I would be mindful of just asking for the things that we're most interested in, rather than ask for things that people are spending time calculating to get to us, that we're just going to look at it and then push it aside. We want to be conscious of their time, the chief's time, the county board rep's time.
I can make those amendments and send it back to the county board representatives that worked on this. But just pointing out very quickly, this has been approved as it stands, but amendments to it may not be.
Yeah, it's been vetted by the state's attorney, but I don't believe the county board has not approved it yet. So if we can go back and then county board rep can talk with the state's attorney, if they're amicable on that one, which a report I don't think they would put up much hesitation on, because
I don't know what their records management system looks like, what capabilities it has. So I don't know what type of work that'll take to generate.
I think, I don't either. But
That's why it doesn't need to be an extensive report. It was no different than tourism. They would come in and blurt a few numbers out, and we called it good and accepted it, which sometimes was unacceptable. But just basic, please tell us why we're giving you $4,000 a month.
Well, we've talked with Mr. Conahan, and in some conversations I had, the idea of having a county board liaison attend our meetings periodically has been presented. Whether they will do that or not, I don't know. But it seems that this would be a good opportunity that while attending, they can just provide a report to us. So
That's why I spent all them years sitting in the back of the room. I was the county board liaison for the city of Lincoln.
and we've had them from time to time. Not every week like you did. Thank you for your service. Okay. So the chief will go back and he will ask for that. Do you want to put this on the regular agenda? And then if we have to table it next week, we can? Okay. So we'll go ahead and place item number 9 on the regular agenda, and then chief will get an update from you next week.
We're basically gonna vote on it, and then it still has to go to the county board then, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I misspoke. The mayor made a good correction. It was not approved by the county board. It was vetted through the state's attorney's office and the board members that we met with prior to developing this.
Yeah, so we can put the language in, we'll vote on it, and then send it to them for their county board approval.
Yep. Okay. That brings us down to announcements. Does anybody have an announcement they'd like to make this evening? Okay. Only thing I have to add is, in my absence last week, thank you to Mr. Bateman for running the meeting, and then welcome to the council, Mr. Becky. I wasn't here for your swearing in, but welcome. And Taz, welcome. It's nice to see you in the back of the room.
It was pointed out that my picture-taking skills need to change according to our state city attorney.
It's on the website now, so there you go.
What he was complaining about was on the website?
Oh, I don't know what he's been complaining about. But your photo that you took of Mr. Becky is on the website.
I wouldn't call it complaining per se, but
Just providing constructive feedback.
feedback.
Yeah, feedback's good. Okay, anything else to add this evening? Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Alderman Anderson made the motion, Alderman Downs second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. This meeting is adjourned at 7:39 PM.